All right, we are officially recording. If everybody doesn't mind muting themselves, if they're not already on mute, although I think everybody is muted. Welcome to another wonderful cooking class with Daniel. We're looking forward to these yummy recipes. If anybody didn't get them, I did send them the other day. Please put your email in the chat and I will make sure to get them to you right away. So Daniel, thanks again and take it away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Entree at Home from my home. We are getting into the fall mood, the Thanksgiving mood. So I'm really excited about this, especially with the year that we've been having. It's really easy to think and look around and see what we're actually truly thankful for this year. And it's having family around and friends available and stuff. It's really it really lets you know how thankful we are. All are and how lucky we all are. So we are going, like I said, Thanksgiving, and I wasn't going to do a turkey this year, but my lovely producer, director, woman behind the camera suggested, well, a lot of people aren't doing big Thanksgiving, so they're going to be stuck making their own turkeys. So I went to Trader Joe's, got a nice kosher turkey breast, so we're going to do one of those little turkey breasts. It's perfect for a small group of people. I also have a spaghetti squash that I started making years ago. I came up with it while I was still in culinary school, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that when we're getting there. I also have a twice-baked yam recipe. While I have done twice-baked yams or sweet potatoes many, many times, I've never done this exact recipe before, so it's going to be fun for all of us. It should all work out, but I've done every piece, but never all together. So we're going to have fun with that one. I'm very excited about this one. So we're going to start, though, with a nice drink. I pulled this drink off of makersmark.com. I did not come up with this one, but it sounded delicious when I was just kind of scoping around the recipes, and I said, I want to make that. So here we go. So first, I'm just going to put a little ice in my glass. I'm going to take a little bit of rosemary and put that in there. And actually, the recipe says to slap it one time. And the reason that you actually slap it like that is because it awakens all the herbs and really lets out that rosemary flavor. I was sitting in the bar one time with a guy who, I was like, oh, only one slap. And he goes, yes, two will let out too much flavor. And he was serious and I was just joking around. So yes, just one slap of that. So next is Maker's Mark. We're going to do about a shot and a half. Wonderful, a little bit of pure maple syrup for some sweetness versus like a simple syrup that you usually do. So it gives you a different flavor. And we're also going to do some fresh lemon juice. I'll put my hand over there to catch any seeds. And there we go. So let's put it together. Let's give a little shake. And then we'll take our other glass. Pour this out in here. A little piece of rosemary on there. A slice of lemon. And my wife will not drink this, so I won't. Oh, that's really good. And my mom is actually here in the house today. She's in town, so she will get to enjoy it as well. I don't think she likes bourbon. Oh, she does like bourbon, so she will like that a little bit more. And the thoughts?
Oh, that's nice.
She's a fan. Wonderful.
Nice.
Wonderful. So yeah, try that out at home. If you have any questions, please, as always, just go ahead and shout them out, type them in, and we will. They'll be called out to me, and we can help with that. So let me stick this first thing off to the side, and we'll get going. Okay. And really. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, it's not a recipe. It was kind of thrown in at the very end, but I was just making cranberry sauce. So I didn't give you the recipe. It's super simple. You'll remember it. For me, cranberry sauce is perfect when it comes with the little ribs in it. My mother-in-law makes 4 or 5 from scratch every year, and I eat them and they're great, but she always puts a little bit of the can in front of my plate too, because she knows that I like those. But so I just have some fresh cranberries. They're going right in the pot. I'm taking some apple juice, and the apple juice is just going in here too.
About how much apple juice is that?
How much? So it's. My dogs want to answer that one. Very sorry, everybody. So it's about a half cup of apple juice with about a half cup of cranberries. We're going to turn this on at a rather medium-low heat, and we're just going to let that go. It's going to go for probably the entire time, and we'll check on it later. But the cranberries are whole, they're fresh, they're going to pop, and then they're going to let out all that liquid, and they're just going to cook down. We'll have a nice sauce to put on our turkey at the end of the evening. So the next thing that we're going to get into, we're moving along quite nicely, is our yams. So pull this up here. So I have my whole little thing. Wonderful. So here's your yam. So you'll notice that they're a little bit darker than the sweet potato. They look very similar. I know that somebody's waiting to ask the question, what's the difference between sweet potatoes and yams? And can I use sweet potatoes for this recipe? First, yes, you can use sweet potatoes for this recipe. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about them, and so you'll have to adjust the recipe a little bit yourself. So the main differences when we break it down between sweet potatoes and yams. So the sweet potato is obviously first going to be sweeter, and it's going to have a little bit more moisture in it than a yam. So you're going to have to adjust your recipe to make up for that little bit of extra moisture. It has lower calories than a yam does, and it's higher in vitamin C. So it's a little healthier in that sense, but also at the same time, yams contain a lot more potassium and magnesium. So it's good for a heart healthy diet. There's a little bit more starch in it than the sweet potato, and they're also a little bit drier in consistency, where there's that moisture in the sweet potato. The yam's going to be a little drier, so it works out really well for this recipe. So that's just what we've got going on here. So I have all of my ingredients ready to go. I'm going to take my sweet potato. I lost the fork. And I'm basically just going to fork it a couple times. I want to let the steam out when it bakes, and I wrap them up in tin foil. So by the magic of the internet or Zoom, I have some sweet potatoes already ready to go.
Ooh.
All right. How fancy. So I have some ready to go. What we're going to do is gently.
Daniel, is it sweet potatoes or yams?
These are yams.
Oh, you said sweet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry, I misspoke. These are yams. I will say, as I'm looking at it, they probably went a little bit longer than I would prefer, but it's still fine. And we are going to cut off the end. I'm going to cut this in half all the way. And okay. So very easily, I want to scoop out this mixture. And as soon as I'm scooping, you can tell, if you're doing this with a sweet potato, you can tell how much more moisture there is in the sweet potato versus the yam by just doing this. It sticks out to me very much. And when you do it, you'll notice. If you did them side by side, which would be a kind of fun experiment to see which one maybe you like more, which flavor you like better. It'd be fun.
Daniel, are those warm?
These are warm. I baked them a little bit ahead of time so that we wouldn't have to wait, because they take between 45 minutes and an hour to get to this point. So I don't want to have to worry about waiting for that. So I just bake them off so that we'd be able to do that, because we're gonna make this, and then we're going to stick them back in the oven, which we will get to experience all together, which will be fun. So I'm taking this meat out of the middle, leaving some in there that's going to help keep the rest of it intact. especially with this one. It seems like it was just slightly overcooked for what we want, but it'll be fine. I just had a cranberry, one of them popped and it got me on the face, so that was fun. All right, so I have all of my, okay, let's turn this down a little bit. I got my wife as well, so we're gonna move this to a different burner so she doesn't get popped in the face.
I quit.
It's a good way to lose a producer is hit her in the face with hot cranberry juice. Okay, so we got the meat out that we want out. Perfect. So then we're going to, wonderful. All right, so we're going to add our butter. As you see, I called for 4. This is the half of the recipe, so I'm going to do a 1/4 stick of butter right here, and this. And I took it out earlier, so it's nice and soft, and it'll melt into that. We're also going to add in our raisins. We have some allspice. We have some honey, which you might want to be the thing that you switch out if you're using a sweet potato. Let's go. There we go. All right. And I need an egg in here to help bind it all together. Wonderful. And we're still getting copied over here. All right. And a little pinch of salt in here. Okay, so, and the last thing we need is an apple. We take my apple. I'm going to cut the peel off of this. I'm sorry that you're having to look over all this stuff to get to it, but I wanted to just cut it fresh. I didn't want any browning on the apple, so there we go. We'll take that core out. I use the Honeycrisp apple. If you remember back a few months ago, Rebecca told you which apples you could or could not use for baking. And Honeycrisp made the list, and it's delicious and it works out well for this. All right. We had the dog get stuck in the door just a second ago. If you heard that yelp, but he is okay. All right. And we are going to put our apple in here. We're going to mix this all around. It is a little warm. My hand is a little hot right now. All right. So that butter's melting in there. I'm gonna let that sit for a second while that butter melts just a hair more.
Daniel,
Yes, ma'am.
do you eliminate the brown sugar also if you're using sweet potatoes or just the honey?
You could use a little bit less brown sugar because you're gonna get so much sweetness in there. I'd probably cut it in half. Because you will want a little bit in it. And really, unless you're used to eating sweet potatoes by themselves, because so many people serve them with sugar and cinnamon anyway, that you might be still looking for some more sweetness if you're used to having it already sweetened like it usually is. I know growing up for Thanksgiving, my sweet potatoes came with marshmallows on top, and then once I started dating my wife, the sweet potatoes that my mother-in-law makes comes with a bourbon with a bourbon pecan topping. So also I say butter. You can use you can use margarine if you're having a parve meal. Then please just go ahead and use the margarine instead. It'll work out wonderfully. So now I'm going to, that butter still melting just a tidbit more. I'm going to start my topping. So here's the butter in there. I have my flour, my pecans, which should have gone at the end if I remember the recipe correctly, and my brown sugar. So I'm just going to mix this all together. We want to turn this into a crumble that's going to coat. It's basically going to cook on the top. So similar like a strudel or a coffee cake topping. I just wanted to give this a shot on it instead of You could use coconut flakes if you want to instead. A nice coconut and pecan topping be good for something different. But I wanted pecan strudel topping, so that's what we were going with. And like I said, this is something new for all of us, so it's fun. We'll see how it goes. Okay. I feel like it's chicken week again, as much as I've already been washing my hands. So, all right, so I'm going to spoon this mixture. And here we have the pecans, we have the apples, we have the raisins, we have our meat, the butter, or the yam meat, I'm sorry. The butter, I did a pinch of salt in here, a little bit of allspice. And we're going to load these things back up. All right. You smell amazing. I'm very excited for this. Carol, if you're watching, maybe we can do this with your pecan topping. That sounds wonderful. I'm very excited for this. Thanksgiving is just I love the food of it. I'm a big turkey fan. I could eat turkey year round. Some people, they have it Thanksgiving, they're done for the year. I am the exact opposite. I could eat it all of the time. So this topping did not crumble quite as much as I wanted it to, but that's okay. It's because my butter wasn't cold. I'm told. I'm not a big baker.
That's mine.
So that is my producer's specialty. So I guess I should have consulted her with that since I pulled the butter out early to get warm. I don't bake. If you ever see me baking up here, I'm doing my best. I took it in culinary school and said I will never bake again. Then I had a bagel company. So I kind of pretended like I wasn't baking there and just making bagels, but I'm back to swearing off baking. All right.
Looks great.
So excited. Let's put this on a pan. I'm going to put these on here. And there we go. I'm going to pop these in the oven at 350 degrees.
Somebody suggested you can put bourbon in the pecan topping if you'd like.
Oh, that sounds delicious. So we're going to put those in for another 30 minutes and we'll get to all check those out together. It'll be a lot of fun. So let's set my other stuff to the side. Check. How's our cranberry sauce looking?
The same.
Okay. All right, beautiful. Turn the heat up just a tad on that. So next, does anyone have any questions yet? If you do, please type them, please shout them out. I will also take a second right now to just remind you if you've seen the email or let you know if you have not seen the email yet that we have another Entree at Home catering pickup dinner coming next week. We have gotten the okay again to do chicken. So next week's menu is it's a half of a chicken. So you will be getting a wing, a breast, a thigh, and a leg. You're going to start off with the couple collar rolls. We have a spinach and arugula salad that's going to come with pears and craisins in it and some other things. And then we have our half roasted chicken. Be stuffed with some rosemary, thyme, and citrus. Lots of aromas coming out to that meat. It'll be delicious. Then coming along with that, we have some roasted root vegetables really playing with this time of the year. We have a melody of about 5 different types of mushrooms that are going to be very slowly cooked with garlic and thyme. And then we're finishing off with a Nancy's blueberry cobbler that I got a little sample of today, and it was fantastic. So that, and it's that all of that food, dinner for two for $42. And if you had our meals at all, you'll realize that most meals are going to feed you. It's going to be a large dinner, or you'll probably have some leftovers too. So please order. It helps the synagogue. It helps the kitchen. It's delicious food. So yeah, just go to entretorah.org and you can fill out the menu there. So I hope you all check it out. Order, please. Thank you. And I'll just say something again about later. So I'll give you the heads up that I will be plugging that again.
Correction, the bourbon goes in the yam mixture, not on the topping. So
The bourbon goes in the yam mixture, not on the top. Okay, got it. Okay. So next, we're going with the spaghetti squash. So I started talking about it a little bit earlier. The spaghetti squash, I came up with this recipe while I was still in culinary school. My wife wanted me to make spaghetti squash. She's a big fan of it. So I kind of came up with this recipe myself, and she loved it. She loved it so much that we made it 4 or 5 times a week for about 3 months, to the point that I have not made this recipe but once since that time. And that was before we were married. So it's been about 9 years since I made this recipe regularly because I just got so tired of it. But it's delicious. And if any of y'all, I know there's some people there that, I know my mom here, I think my dad might be watching at home, and some aunts and uncles who were at my wedding. This was in our little recipe book that Rebecca and I gave out at our wedding. I'm just going to make one small little thing that's going to help you out, but you all have this recipe, and if you've made it before, you know how great it is. So spaghetti squash, this beautiful little football-shaped gourd. All right, I got this from Trader Joe's. They have them now. They're starting to phase those out. I saw they're on sale at Kroger this week. They're great. You can go ahead and pick this up now, and it'll stay good till Thanksgiving. So it's great. It's hard. So I went ahead and cooked one off. So to stop this part, but you're going to poke it. I like to do 8 little forks with it. So 2 on each of the 4 sides. It's going to help some steam release, because if not, then we don't want the steam to build up inside and then bust, and then it's going to make your oven disgusting, and that would not be fun. So I used to, if you have that old recipe I was talking about, I used to cut this thing in half first and then roast it on a sheet pan. And I realized that, one, it's a pain to cut through this. I never had a problem, but if you did not have a sharp enough knife, you will have a problem. And then someone told me, oh, you can roast it whole and it's so much easier. So I've since switched to that whenever I'm making spaghetti squash in general, not this recipe, but spaghetti squash. So it's easier. So this one, I roasted this thing whole. You can see where it sat on the grates a little bit. My fork holes in it that lets some steam out. I'll tell you, I did put a sheet pan underneath it because it might let some liquid leak out, and you don't want that to burn on the bottom. So I just did that. The same thing with the the yams that are in the oven. When I roast those off as whole, I still put a sheet pan underneath it, so any drippings that came off would be caught. So back to the sweet potato, or the spaghetti squash. So now it's roasted, it's whole, it's a little soft here. I'm just gonna cut the top right off like that. And that's gonna be the hardest part. And then I'm just gonna cut this sucker in half. And I'll tell you, that is so much easier than it was when I was trying to cut that in half when it was whole, because that's what I was trying to cut. It's hard. So here we go. We have this. I'm gonna bring back an old bowl for trash. And I'm just going to take spoons. I'm going to take out all of this inside. It's like a pumpkin, where it's a gourd that we have all of the insides. They look like pumpkin seeds. And they're a little bit, you see this darker, this almost orangey color. And that's what it is that you just want to get rid of. You could probably take these seeds out and roast them like spaghetti, like pumpkin seeds. I've never done it, but they look like pumpkin seeds. I would assume that you could do it. But so anyway, all of that's out. And you're just going to see how easy and why they call it spaghetti squash right here. Where'd my bowl go? Okay. So right, just like that. You see how easy. I'm just taking the fork and I'm barely touching it. And it's all coming off the sides. And look, it looks, like yellow spaghetti. And it's great. You could do so many things with this. I know a lot of people that will literally just take this and put pasta sauce on it and meatballs and use that as spaghetti as just a healthier version instead of, it's a great option if you're gluten-free and you want spaghetti and you don't like those brown rice pastas, you can use this instead. So my squash is ready. You saw how easy that was. Now I'm just gonna get the rest of this meal together. So first I'm gonna start off with the shallot. And I'm not doing the entire squash. I just doing that half so you can all see how we're doing it. So I just have one shallot. All right. And I just need a quick little mince on it. It's going to go in the pan first. Shallots are wonderful. I was very, very early on. They were explaining to me that it's almost like a mix between an onion and garlic, which, I mean, I guess it's simple enough. It's a good description of it. But I still have garlic because you can never have too much. All right. All right, so I've got my pan on. It's heating up. I'll have all my garlic and shallot right here. A little oil in there. And while that's just finishing heating up, I'm gonna go ahead and start slicing my mushrooms. All right. So garlic and shallots, we're going to sweat those for a minute.
What does sweat mean?
Sweat means we're going to heat that over in some oil on a rather lower temperature. We want, as you can see how it's starting to bubble a little bit. It's cooking in the oil, it's sauteing in the oil. We're going to let those flavors out. We don't really want to roast it too much. We don't want too much color. We just want to low, get that flavor out, and then we're gonna let it go. It's gonna break down. It's gonna be wonderful. And this part right here is great because it makes the entire house smell so good. And that really doesn't matter. You could just do this just to have a little air freshener if you want something, something nice. All right. So that's sweating right there.
Is your heat on low or medium?
I'm sorry. Right now, I'm at a medium low right now, just to sweat this a tad. All right. So you can see we're sweating. We don't want to add color. We're about to hit it with these mushrooms. These mushrooms are going to taste amazing as they are the first ones that hit this beautiful shallot garlic mixture. We'll let those suckers go for a minute, for about 2 or 3 minutes. And let's
Daniel, can you mix mushroom types?
Yes, of course. I just use button. It's what I grabbed at the store. I've used portobellos in these many times. I use cremies in here before. So really, whatever you like. I'm blanking on the name. The annoli, is that what it's called? They almost look like spaghetti squash. They're very tall and skinny. You could use them for pasta. They would be great. They would kind of mix into this spaghetti a little bit, but you get the flavor, which would be great. All right, so that's gonna go. I'm just gonna hit it with just a pinch of salt and pepper. All right, there we go. All right, so we have okay. I just want those to cook down just a little bit more. For a couple minutes. Here. Okay, the mushrooms are starting to look good. They're starting to break down. I can feel them. They feel nice. So while they just have that last little bit going, I'm gonna go ahead and get my Roma tomato. I'm gonna slice this. So I'm just gonna slice it into quarters and then take out this piece right here. And it's easy in your quarter. You go in on the backside and just go underneath it, and that the seeds and the core just come right out. Give a 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. Wham, bam. Just like that. Beautiful. One more. Okay. All right. All right, so my mushrooms are perfect. Now I'm going to throw in all my spaghetti squash right now. And also with my spaghetti squash, I'm going to I've got my spinach. I already pulled it out. I washed it. I'm just going to, thank you, give a couple cuts to it. I still want it to be in nice sized pieces. I just don't want full leaves. And the reason I'm putting them right now, toss this one time, is I don't want them to be completely broken down. I really just want to welt them more than anything else. So there's a little bit of structure still left in the spinach, but not that it's, you know, how it is when you put spinach in a pan and cook it. Let me go ahead and give a little salt and pepper to this. All right. So what we're really just doing here with this spaghetti squash is we just want to really bring it back up to the temperature that we want to serve it at, because nothing, I mean, these spinach are going in for a second. They're not going to take long to cook. They're going to cook in the residual heat pretty much from the squash, but you can start seeing we have a nice mixture of mushrooms in here. They're great. I'm taking the spinach. I'm going to throw this in here. I'm turning the heat off. The heat is off on this squash now. And we're just going to mix in this spinach so that it's going to wilt. It's not going to break down entirely. And that's part of the thing, is that we're going to get a tiny, tiny little crunch from it. And it gives great flavor along with the mushrooms and the squash. So that's just going to mix that around. It's going to go in there. We're excited. So the last things we're going to do is basil. You'll see basil in there, and then a little word that you might or might not know next to it. That's chiffonade. I do not know French at all. I know a couple words that they taught me in school, such as chiffonade. So what you do to chiffonades and basil is you take the leaves, you roll it up just like this. And I have 2 leaves together, and I'm just going to cut them, rock it through very, very easily, and make these nice strips. All right. So I pull them out after that. Here we go. So This is going in as well. It mixes in nicely with the spinach. You don't even see it. And I can smell that basil as the heat's helping that flavor release quite a bit. That's nice. And then I'm going to take some chive as well. Okay. So there's my chive. And at the very end, right before I'm about to plate this, I'm going with my tomatoes. I don't want those tomatoes to cook at all. That's why they're coming at the very, very, very end. So here, we're going to mix it. We get some nice colors with the yellow and the green and the red in there. We have those pale mushrooms. There. Does it look kind of like a bowl of mush? Well, I'll give you that if that's what you think. I don't think so. I think it looks wonderful, and then we'll hit the top of it with some more chive. And there we go. And that is the spaghetti squash. Any questions for that real quick? Anyone? No.
Robin actually posted the link for the meals, so.
Oh, thank you. Robin posted the link in the chat area for the meal. So check it out. Please place an order if you're looking for someone else to cook for you next week for Shabbat. And you will be happy. You'll enjoy it. I promise. It'll be good. It'll be unlike these sweet potatoes that are yams that are new for me. I've done all of these ingredients many, many times. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm just going to turn these around. That's looking wonderful. I'm excited to show everyone those when they come out.
Chef Daniel, do you mix the cranberries while they're on there? Do you
Yeah, I have mixed. I've just taken the pan and kind of done this a couple times. But that's it. That's all I've done with the cranberries. Yes, you're welcome. Okay, so next and the last thing we're going to do today is our turkey breast. So it's really a half turkey breast because, you know, two of them would be enormous. And they're great because the ones that you get from Trader Joe's are kosher. They're delicious. So when a lot of times with poultry, I like to brine it ahead of time, which is basically put in a flavored salted bath. It lets it sit overnight. Problem that or just not problem, but the thing that you have to remember is a lot of times kosher food is pre-brined and it's also pre-salted. When it's butchered, part of the koshering process to have it be kosher is that it's packed with salt that really pulls out all that blood that's in it. Sorry if I'm getting too graphic, but it is an animal. So because of that, a lot of time, that's why the kosher meat has so much salt on it, is it helped with the kosherizing process and pulling that blood out of the animal. One thing I'll say on it just because I'm thinking about it is the kosher laws of how you kill animals for butchering. It's done part of the reason that's like that is it's a very humane way to do it. You take any pain away from the animal that you can. And actually, it's such a great way that Jews have been doing it for such a long time that the meat industry in the US has just adopted it completely. So they're all butchered kind of the same way because it is a humane way in which to butcher the animal. So just a little tidbit there. If you didn't know that everyone else said, oh, y'all are doing it the best way possible, we're just going to copy the Jews. So yet another one for the good guys. So next thing I have, so here is our Trader Joe's purchase. That's where I got it. Turkey breast. It's one half of it. You have your tenderloin right here. Cook it all together, but that's your tenderloin right there. And we have our meat, our skin.
Daniel, it's bone in.
It is bone in, yes. They're great. So as I said earlier, I'm an all-year turkey kind of guy, and I really love this. This right here is my kind of one of my favorite summertime things because my Zadie taught me how he does it, which is he grills this, and we'll probably be doing this in the summertime too. So I will show you exactly how my Zadie makes this turkey breast in 6 months or so. But I'm going to show you how we're going to do it for Thanksgiving right now. So we're going to, and the seasoning I gave you, it kind of just depends on how big you're doing. So you might not want to use all of the seasoning, but you can use it all and then just decide how much of it you want to put on turkey. But I have my chili powder. It's going in here. My smoked paprika. I have my onion powder, my garlic powder. Some salt, some pepper, and just a hair of curry powder. I know you're gonna say, "Oh, I don't like curry powder." We're using such a small amount that it's really the curry's not going to jump out at you at all. It's going to kind of give this underlying flavor that you're not going to go, "Oh man, that's curry," but you're going to go, "Oh wow, there's something in there that I don't know what it is," and it's really just setting this thing off. So. That's what it is. It's the curry. And the last thing I'm going to do is take some fresh rosemary, pour this a little bit, and put this in our little spice blend too. If you have dried rosemary, that works great for this type of recipe as well. And then I'm taking that, and then I have some oil, and I'm going to pour this in here. And what we're doing is baking a little paste out of this. And that a little bit more. And you see the consistency right here. That's really what you want to look for. You want it to be kind of gooey because that's going to spread really nicely onto our turkey. And we're going to lift up the skin. We're going to spread it on the meat right here underneath the skin. We'll cover that back up. We'll do the bottom side. Get into that little area right here underneath the tenderloin. All right, and let's go back on top. So we're making sure that's everywhere on here, and we will. So you can then pop this onto a baking sheet. You can put it in a little baking pan if you want. I know some people that'll take this and put onions and carrots and celery underneath it. And those carrots, the natural aromas of them are going to come out while it's cooking. And it gives you something nice to eat after that. Because when this cooks, the skin, I mean, it's all fat. That fat's going to drip down. It's going to kind of cook those veggies too, which is great. So one time I did 2 of these at once. There was so much fat in it. And I noticed it that I ran and grabbed a sweet potato, threw it underneath there. Well, those sweet potatoes cooked and all this turkey fat. Was it healthy? No. Was it delicious? Oh my goodness. It was fantastic. It was so good. I was basically confine sweet potatoes in turkey fat. I would highly recommend it. Don't tell your doctor I recommended it, but I would recommend it. So I already have a turkey breast behind me going. I'm going to pull that out. Let's see where we are. Okay, I'm just going to give it, it's 3 degrees away from being finished. So I'm just going to talk to you for a second, answer any questions anyone has, and we'll pull out that turkey breast and we'll see exactly where it is. It'll finish right around the time of the sweet potatoes, and that just worked out perfectly.
Are you serving that for lunch tomorrow?
I'm serving this for dinner tonight.
Oh, too bad. I ate dinner already.
Oh, so well, next time you could be in our studio audience and we'll get some dinner for you, Diane.
Are these finished over here?
No, these cranberries, I want it. Let's see. Let me get a spoon and get a real test on the consistency of it. All right.
Daniel, if people
Yes,
aren't
ma'am.
cooking a whole turkey this year because they're not having a big gathering and they're doing something like I've made like a turkey roast before or
Yeah.
something. How could you suggest some ways to maybe keep it moist?
Well, so my thing first is check if it's been brined ahead of time. If it hasn't, then I highly recommend brining it. And it'll say either added like moisture and mirepoix or something. Mirepoix is the term for really the vegetables that go into most cooking, which is going to be the trilogy of onions, carrots, and celery. That's your traditional French way of doing it. I know in New Orleans, if you're looking at mirepoix, they're going to take out that celery, put in green peppers in a lot of their food. Or I'm sorry, take out the carrots and lay the celery and do that. So it's whatever your really three main things that you're getting those aromas from in your food. And so if it has not been, sorry, to get back, if it has not been brine it. So to brine it, and Robin, I'll give you a recipe for this. I'll write it down for you if you like. But basically I take a pot, I put in a couple tablespoons of salt, some black pepper, some whole pieces of black pepper, maybe 1 or 2 pieces of garlic. And then if I and then you can go from there. I like to do some, for most poultry, some rosemary. You can do thyme if you want to put paprika or whatever. And you're going to just use a little bit of water and you're going to bring that up to a simmer. And you want to dissolve all of that into the water. Then you're going to take it, throw in a ton of ice because you need to get that down to a temperature that's not going to start cooking your meat. And then once that is cold, put your bird, your turkey, whether it's a turkey breast or turkey legs or however you get, put that in the meat and let that sit overnight. And that's going to brine. It's going to add so much more moisture to the meat. It makes it a little bit more forgiving that if you overcook it by a tad, it's still going to be a nice, juicy bird. So that would be my number one recommendation is if it has not been brined, to go ahead and brine it like that. If it has, you could still do that and leave out the salt and just up all of your other things because the water will get in there and will keep it from drying out. And that's really, you don't want to serve a dry bird. I mean, that's what cranberry sauce is for if you do. But besides that, that's what I recommend. If the top is starting to brown a little bit early, there's always, you can do the foil tint to let the inside kind of cook a little bit more without letting that skin dry out.
I found the problem I had is cutting the bird open too soon.
Yes. I was going to get to that in a second. Just when I pull this out, is that whenever you pull, and it's not just with turkeys, chicken or any poultry, but also if you're making a steak at home, is when it's cooking, all those juices inside are really moving around, and you need them to settle down and rest. So let it sit for 10, 15 minutes. You're not going to lose that much heat, especially with a big piece of meat like this. You're actually, it's still going to be so hot that you're not gonna be able to mess with it after 15 minutes, but it's gonna let those juices settle so that when you cut it open, you will not lose quite as many juices. So a problem sometimes you have with losing juices if you're temping, I want to cook the turkey to 165, and so I need to have a thermometer in there. I recommend, if you can see this, is I have a thermometer that comes on got this little cord in it that's heat resistant. So my thermometer is off to the side, I'm reading it, and it's gonna beep in just a second once it hits temp, and I'm not opening up the oven at all. I'm not looking at it because I know it's gonna tell me when I get to 165 and I'm good to go. I know some people will pull it at like 163 because they know it's gonna sit there and it's gonna keep on building in temperature even after you pull it. I do that a lot of times. But my wife always tells me, hey, let's just make sure, and so there we go. It's at 165. So. Oh, goodness gracious.
Let's see if I can zoom.
You also don't want to keep putting the thermometer in because when you do, you release a lot of the
I did not
juices.
hear you. I'm sorry.
I was telling you, you keep sticking the thermometer.
Yeah,
in,
no,
you
so,
release a
so
lot
the
of
reason,
juice.
the thermometer's been in there since the very beginning. When I stuck it in there, Louis got it very, very hot. When I stuck the thermometer in, it told me that the inside of the bird was at like 38 degrees. So it's been in there since the entire cooking process. You saw that skin shrunk up. That's fine. I know that's going to happen, but I'm just going to let this go for a while. And in about 15 minutes or so, I'm going to slice it open. It will be delicious. And look at that. Now we have a timer going off too for our sweet potato or yams. I'm sorry, yams. Oh, Lordy, hey, Lordy. So here are yams as well. So, and around this time, our cranberry sauce is almost there. I'm just gonna let it go for another couple minutes. I'll cut this. By the time I cut that turkey breast open, that should be finished. So here we go. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Oh.
Does anybody have any questions, any comments? I'll say again, next week, Lily, don't burn yourself, please. Next week, Shabbat dinner, challah rolls, spinach arugula salad, roasted half chicken, roasted root vegetables, mushroom medley, and the blueberry cobbler. Everyone say hi, Lily. Lily, say hi to everybody.
Let's say I'm going to bed.
All right, thank you, everyone. Does anyone have any questions before I go put her to bed?
And again, if you don't have the recipes, just put your email there and we have a yummy dinner now.
It looks
Anybody?
delicious.
It looks lovely and it's nice and healthy.
Yes, minus the margarine in here, everything is healthy.
These are good because if you have a group of people, you don't want everybody to keep eating. You can give everybody their own.
Right, exactly. So what's great about this is, like she said, you can get your own, and there's no sharing at the buffet. That's sliced ahead of time. So if you do have a small group of people and you're still maybe social distancing inside, you can do this, and yeah, you're going to keep down on the using of the same spoons and such to get your food. Please, everyone, be safe. Stay healthy. I can't wait to see everyone in person and however long it's going to be.
People
And
should send you pictures of their Thanksgiving meal.
Please send pictures. I never get to see them. I don't know if anyone's making them or not. And the same thing if you get the catering meals. Please send them to me. Let me know if you like them. Give me your comments. As I was telling someone the other day, I can't make this stuff any better because no one tells me how it is. So please shoot me an email to eventcord@entretorah.org. Let me know what you think. Please. Because the only people that ever tell me are my parents, and they're Jewish parents. They're going to tell me I did a great job no matter what. So please, yeah, just let me know. I can take criticism. I promise.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. We hope you had a great time. This was recorded, so it'll be up on the YouTube channel soon if you want to refer back to it for any tips.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving, everybody. Order Shabbat meal.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, Daniel. It was
Bye,
great.
Lily.
Say goodnight.
Good night, Lily. Hi, Rebecca.
Oh, hi.
It's Janine.
Hi, Janine. How are you? I was asking about you today.
You were.
I was. I have the
Thank you.
inside scoop.
I'm doing okay.
Good.
It looks
Bye,
a little-
everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, guys. Yes, it's wiggly too.
Uh-huh.
Somebody wrote you a message, Daniel.
Oh, we want to tell them that. We don't know that.